The following introduction was recorded before, not only before 3.0 went live, it was recorded before the release date for Elite Dangerous 3.0 was even known. So before we go into the actual gameplay element of this video, let's address something. So Beyond is coming. Elite Dangerous 3.0. And among the various changes that are touted most frequently is the change for the surface of icy planets and how it is going to be much improved. But notice that this is for version 3.4, so it's the last thing they're doing. I mean, they know that it's one of the features a lot of people are keen on, largely because it is one of the features that when Beyond was announced, it was one of the features that Frontier Developments harped on about most frequently. Now, before I get on to that, we've already had a return of the brown noses surrounding 3.0 and Beyond and all of it. We've also had a lot of comments saying it's going to be fucking great and all this, from people who really should know better. So a lot of them are saying, oh yeah, look at how good Elite Dangerous is going to be at the end of the year, simply because of seeing the update schedule that was published by Frontier Developments. The same Frontier Developments that published a 1-year update schedule for Horizons when that first came along. So you would have to be pretty fucking naive, to put it mildly, to take Frontier Developments at the face value and for their word that this is only going to be a 1-year development thing, just like Horizons was. So, yeah, don't, just because Frontier Developments have said or issued this fucking update thing that says, oh, it's all going to be done in a year, don't fucking straight away think, oh well, that must be the case then because Frontier Developments have told us so. And like I say, I've seen that comment from loads of people who fucking well should know better, because exactly the same thing happened with Horizons. There is no reason to think that it will be done in 1 year. If it is, great, but don't assume that it will be just because they've said so. Like I say, they said that about Horizons. Now, the next thing, as I say, the much touted improvement to icy world surfaces and how they're going to look so much better, which is scheduled for 3.4. So notice the thing that they drew the most attention to is the last thing that's coming. Anyway, so you get this. This is one of the mocked up images that Frontier Developments published in order to advertise that how great the icy worlds will look. And again, as well as the brown nosers, there were loads of other people who fucking well should know better, who are all saying, God, look at that, it's fucking fantastic. Oh, Elite Dangerous is going to look fucking great when this comes along. Is it? Well, firstly, how many Elite Dangerous players, or Horizons players, actually bother landing on icy worlds? 99% of people who are exploring don't even bother scanning icy worlds, let alone actually landing on the fucking things, because there's fuck all there. So you may land on one when 3.4 first goes live, whether that's at the end of this year or the end of next year or who knows fucking when. But after you've been to one and seen that, oh, well, there's some ice and snow around and fuck all else, why would you want to go back to another one? But that's far from being the only thing to have your doubts about regarding this whole icy world business. Let's bring up the picture again. So, loads of people are saying, look how great Elite Dangerous is going to be when this comes along, based purely on this mock-up. Okay, well, let's go back in time a few years, shall we, to this. This is a mock-up that Frontier Developments gave us when they said what the system map will look like within the game. Here we are 4 years later, and the system map still bears absolutely no fucking resemblance to this whatsoever. So with that in mind, why the fuck would anybody take Frontier Developments at their word that this is what the Icy Worlds will in any way, shape or form look like in 3.4, when we've already had bullshit promises from them about what it's going to look like with regards to this. Now, if they do manage to make it look like this, then again, great, sort of, for, you know, the one icy world that you visit and then never fucking go near again. And what about all the other fucking planet surfaces? Or are they just going to be left like they are when version 3.0 drops? Whenever the fuck that is. But, I mean, you have no reason at all to take Frontier Developments at their word again that this is actually what it's going to look like, because like I say, years ago they told us that this is what the system map will look like, and it's never come close to looking like that. And yet suddenly loads of people are all saying, oh, look how great the Elite Dangerous Icy Worlds are going to look, based on exactly the same evidence. A fucking, you know, mocked up image. Like I say, if they prove me wrong, great. I'm not holding my breath waiting though. Anyway, enough of that. On to some actual gameplay footage, I think. So, before we start, okay, I haven't done any videos for a while. There's a couple of reasons for that. The main one is I just haven't felt like it for a while. I've started plenty and I just stop them. Other reasons are I've had other issues with the fucking computer that are driving me around the bend. They do seem to be fixed. At least they fucking better be. And I haven't been feeling too great for a while. Not least because I've had some really persistent cough that just will not go away. I can't imagine why that is. So, right, Elite Dangerous 3.0, it's been around for a little while now. And when I covered it in the beta, in the 2 videos that I did of it, I was actually, you know, quite impressed with what I saw. You know, all the cunts who do nothing but complain about me supposedly being nothing but negative have a very selective sort of, well, not so much memory, they just clearly haven't watched a number of my videos where if Frontier Developments do something right, I will point that out. Of course, the trouble is, it rarely happens, so I don't get much reason to ever actually say, you know, yeah, they did a decent job. Yeah, but you know, I think that the vast majority of the new features that came into 3.0 have been done quite well. I'm having to choose my words. I'm having to choose my words quite carefully. So, well, I mean, let's get straight into showing some of the new features. One of which is the technology broker, except of course I can't show you that because I've unlocked them all. I'm in Shinrata Desra. The technology broker here has Guardian technology. There are actually two different technology brokers. One has Guardian, or it's actually Guardian hybrid technology. The other has what is strangely described as regular technology, even though some of it uses Thargoid materials, so you could say it is somewhat Thargoid based. Actually, having said that, I think it's only one thing that is. But anyway, so there are two technology brokers. Now, since I have unlocked all of their items, I may as well show you what they are. So most of them appear in the weapons under experimental. The remote release flak launcher is one of the AX weapons that Aegis devised, but now we have this remote release Fletchit launcher, which is more or less exactly the same thing, except it doesn't do anywhere near as much damage. The only other thing in its, well, I say the only other thing, the only thing in its favour is that this is as effective against human vessels as the flak launcher is against Thargoid vessels. I'm really clutching at straws to come up with something positive to say about it. I just do not see the use of this weapon at all. I mean, its damage per second is 6.5. Its damage is 13. And yet the flak launcher, which damage per second is higher than the overall damage of the Fletchit launcher. It just seems utterly fucking worthless. I think the Fletchit launcher was the last thing I unlocked from any of the technology brokers. I did all of the Guardian tech in one go, and then I waited a little bit, and I do mean a little bit, it wasn't that long, and then I decided fuck it, and I went and got everything that I needed to unlock everything from the other tech broker in one go afterwards. So anyway, yeah, so the first thing, the Fletchit launcher isn't very impressive. However, the next one is the shot cannon. I think this is a fucking decent weapon. Now, a lot of people on the forums seem to be taking it on themselves to basically say to everybody else who's used the forums, look at me, I'm fucking brain dead. Because they cannot work out why certain new features are working the way it is. The shot cannon is one of them. If you press the fire button and hold it down, it will only fire once. If you want to fire repeated shots, you have to keep pressing the fire button. Big fucking deal. But you would be amazed at the number of people who are complaining about it. That's what I think of them. Now, this weapon is effective against human vessels, but it is pretty useless against Thargoids, well apart from the Thargoid scouts, but anything will damage those. And although this is the fixed one, I do have the gimbaled version on one of my ships, and I do think it is pretty impressive. So the next new one from the tech brokers is the Enzyme missile rack. Now damage per second and damage levels look pathetic, but the strength of this weapon is it does the caustic damage that the Thargoids will do to your ship. You can't do it against Thargoid weapons, it has no effect, but you can use them against human ships. And like I say, you will inflict the same caustic damage to them. Now, it's probably only going to be any use in PvP instances, because if you use it against NPC ships, obviously you've then got to hang around and wait for it to finish. I mean, the chances are, especially if you're flying around in the populated zone or the main populated zone, the enemy ship is not going to have the decontamination limpet, so it's a bit fucked. With PvP, it's probably even more of the case. And of course, if they do decide they're going to combat log, tough shit, because as soon as they log back in, they are still going to have the caustic damage. So they have got to, well, either use a decontamination limpet if they have one, or more likely they've got to dock somewhere and do it pretty fast. So the Enzyme missile rack could be quite handy if you are going up against other players, which I don't do, so I doubt I will use it, but I can certainly see the use of that thing. So the next weapon is the first of the Guardian weapons. No, it isn't. It's the, oh no, yeah, it is the first one. The Guardian Gauss Cannon. This is the fixed one. I have, it is this weapon. I have this weapon fitted to 2 of my ships. Now, there was a bit of an issue with this. In fact, there was a bit of an issue with all of the Guardian weapons. Players were noticing that the damage that they were doing was not as high as the damage that was stated in the main info panel here. Frontier Developments, being their usual self, decided that the best course of action was not to change the weapon so that it did do the amount of damage that was given in the info panel here, but they changed the info that was given in the info panel and lowered it to the amount of damage that the weapon was doing. That doesn't mean though that it's useless, far from it. I find the Gauss Cannon is quite handy, which is why I have it on 2 of my ships. So here we have the gimbaled shot cannon. This is the one that I have fitted to one of mine. So yeah, gimbaled version of the shot cannon I've already spoken about. Then we have the Guardian plasma charger. This thing is a bit like the plasma accelerator. The name does rather suggest that, and I think it's okay. I can't say it's a great weapon. The firing rate is, well, the firing rate is good. The shot speed is pretty slow though. So yeah, this one is probably good against larger vessels, because of course this is equally effective against human ships and Thargoid ships. So if you're going up against, you know, Type 10s or larger, and obviously any of the Thargoid Cyclops, then this will be okay, providing you have somebody else attacking it with you. The reason being that, of course, Thargoid Cyclops, any of the variations of Thargoid Cyclops, can like heal themselves, but they can't do it while they are taking damage, and the firing rate of the plasma charger, and even more so the Gauss cannon, means that although you will damage it, by the time another shot hits, it will have healed some of that damage back. So what you really need is to be hitting it with either of these weapons while somebody else is firing preferably an AX multi-cannon at the thing, so that it can't heal. Nice idea, but I've never had the chance to put it into practice. So next up, I think it's just the turreted versions of the Fletchit launcher and the shot cannon and the plasma charger and the that's it. Oh yes, the Gauss cannon doesn't come in the turreted version, and the turreted versions of these only work as a turret if you have a dedicated gunner on board, i.e. if you are doing multi-crew. And again, there have been people on the forums who have been moaning, saying that the tech broker turret weapons are bugged because they don't work properly. They do, it's just that these people are too fucking stupid to read and can't see what the actual information is telling them with regards to this thing doesn't do what they think it's going to fucking do. Oh, there is a shot cannon turret. There you go. So, hang on, no. Oh, fuck it. Yeah, just... Anyway, so that's the... that's the weapons from each of the tech brokers, but it doesn't stop there. There is also a Guardian power plant. These are available in all classes from here we go, from 2 to 8, and they provide a lot more power. They're only available as the A variant, but they provide a lot more power than the standard equivalent. So here's the regular 2A, which produces 9.6 megawatts. The Guardian one produces 12.7. So yeah, a lot more power. They are heavier, or higher mass, I should say. With the 2s, not going to make a hell of a lot of difference. It's 1.5 as opposed to 1.3. The heat efficiency isn't as good, but take it from me, that's not such a big deal. The heat efficiency is still low enough to be fine. But I think the really useful thing about the Guardian power plants, if we take it down to the 8s, one of my ships has the 8A Guardian hybrid power plant here, so that produces 47.5 at a mass of 93.6 tons. Now the 8A one has 36 megawatts, so there's a big old difference, 11.5 megawatts difference. But obviously with the mass, it's an extra 13.6 tons. But if you take a look at the 7A Guardian power plant, now this produces 39.6 megawatts, so that's still more than the 8A, but now the mass is reduced. So the 7A one is quite handy. Now of course, everyone then says, well, you can mod the power plants, but you can't mod the Guardian ones. Well, you could initially, but that was a fuck up by Frontier Developments. Shock horror. And yes, that is true at the moment, but we do know that the chance to engineer tech broker items is coming. So while it is the case now, it's not going to be the case, well, it will change at some point anyway. So yeah, I have the Guardian power plant actually in 2 ships. And then next up is, we'll go to the 8A. The cargo racks. We now have a 16 capacity corrosion resistant cargo rack, and of course you don't have to go to Professor Palin to get this thing fitted. All tech broker items can be picked up from any docking station that has a tech broker. No, you can't just go to any old docking station and get it. Obviously Shinrata Desra has all of them, but if you go to a docking station that has a Guardian tech broker, then you can get all the Guardian stuff there, but not the like human stroke Thargoid stuff. And likewise, if there's a tech broker that does the human and Thargoid based stuff, you can't buy the Guardian stuff from there. So cuts both ways. And then finally there is the Meta Alloy hull reinforcement package. This thing actually gives you some caustic resistance, and a lot of people were complaining again on the forums saying that the caustic resistance is very low, plus 3%. Well, if you look at the regular module, not module, I want hull reinforcements. Look at the regular hull reinforcements. Class 5 only gives you plus 2.5 additional resistance. It gives you a hull reinforcement of 390, but that's it. With the Meta Alloy ones, okay, the hull reinforcement isn't as high, it's 351. It's not that much lower. And alright, there's no kinetic, thermal or explosive resistance increase, but caustic resistance is up 3%, not 2.5%. So yeah, I think it's bollocks them complaining about the amounts of resistance not being high enough. Yes, it is. It's fine. So that is everything then from the tech brokers. At some point I'm sure I will show you the various items in action, but I don't have any of them fitted to this ship. So my fleet has grown somewhat. So along with my Imperial cutter here, the ISV Karl Marx, we have the ISV Free Kazoo, which is the Anaconda, that is in HR 1183. So this has the Guardian Gauss cannon. It has 2 of them, has 2 of the Guardian plasma chargers, and it also has the, where does it show, there it is, the Guardian hybrid power plant, and oh yeah, and it also has the 16 capacity corrosive resistant cargo rack. That ship has been not quite fully engineered, but pretty much. It doesn't have a lot of the experimental stuff fitted to it. I can live without that. Next then I got the Alliance Chieftain, the ISV Door Ladder, named after the most fearsome of science fiction characters. This ship, frankly, it wasn't as good as it was in the beta, although it has apparently had some changes made to it that have improved it. The problem I had is that its shields are useless, they just fucking drop like a whore's knickers. And once they have, your cockpit is so exposed that it's taken out in next to no time. Now they've changed it so that the cockpit is now no longer so vulnerable, so you should be able to last a bit longer, which I hope so. I mean, the armour that I've got on this thing is actually higher than the armour in the Imperial Cutter here, but you can see the shields are fucking useless. So this has, again, 2 Guardian plasma chargers. It has a single Guardian Gauss cannon. It has the corrosion resistant cargo rack, and it has the 6A Guardian hybrid power plant. So this, like the Anaconda, is outfitted for dealing with Thargoids. This is an out and out Thargoid combat ship. The Anaconda is outfitted to be a sort of more an alien research ship, not just Thargoids but also Guardians. So they both work. Well, sort of. Next is the Type 9 ISV Oumuamua. I can't remember what Oumuamua stands for. Obviously I got it from the name from that asteroid that passed through the solar system last year, or was it earlier this year? I can't remember. I think it translates to long thing asteroid that bears a striking resemblance to the alien probe in Star Trek 4, but you know, don't quote me on that. So anyway, the Type 9, this is my mining ship. Top speed 198. Its manoeuvrability is abysmal, and this is despite the fact that it has 7A thrusters which have the grade 5 dirty drive tuning. It still flies and steers like a fucking pig, but as a mining ship it is fucking superb because of a change that Frontier Developments made to the Type 9, which is they gave it a second Class 8 optional internal slot. So it has 512 cargo capacity now, along with the 2 Collector Limbic controllers, the Prospector Limbic controller, and yeah, it's working extremely well. I just noticed it doesn't show the refinery here, but yeah, oh, there it is. It's under core internal for some reason. But yeah, that's doing extremely well. So that's out in HIP 16607. Next I have, yeah, I'm sure you all expected to see me with this ship, the Adder. The name is Death Equals. If you can't figure out why it has that name, then you are not a gamer of my generation. This has a very specific role. I haven't modded it very much, I say, and then I noticed that every single thing in the core internals has been modded. This is basically, you can see it has a planetary vehicle hangar. It's basically a ship to get a SRV to difficult planets, shall we say. And that way, if I fuck it up, it's no big deal because this ship is so fucking cheap. I could buy back fucking tens of thousands of them if I needed to. So, yeah, that is the only reason why I have it. Well, that, and plus it gave me the chance to call it Death Equals Adder. So next up is the Federal Corvette, the ISV Steamed Hams. This one, to be honest, the only reason I got this ship is because I had a fucking shitload of credits. At this time I had 2.5 billion in the balance, and I just wanted to buy a ship so that I could spend them. So it has dual gimbal class 4 beam lasers, obviously with the efficient weapon mods, and it has 2 of the gimbaled shot cannons. So this is the ship that features the shot cannons there, and I have to say it works fucking well as a ship for combat. I've outfitted it pretty much entirely for combat, although I do have a planetary vehicle hangar in it for some reason. I'm pretty sure I'm going to replace the Recon Olympic controller with an AFM unit, but other than that it's outfitted pretty much as you would expect. The shields, that isn't too bad. The resistances are huge, so the fact that the shields are below 1600, well, I've got no problem with that. Armour at 2097 is only slightly lower than the armour in me cutter here, so yeah, that's doing the job pretty well. Again, everything all fucking A-rated. And then finally the Asp Explorer, the ISV number wang. I've had this ship for fucking ages. I haven't actually bothered re-engineering everything in this, but I did do the frameshift drive and the thrusters and the power plant, and I also changed the outfitting, so now it only has 4 weapons, not 6, but they are 2 rail guns and 2 beam lasers, so they it can certainly attack, but its shields are terrible at 172. But its jump range, unladen, 46.42 light years. I'll take that any day, especially as this is not outfitted for long distance or long jump range exploration. I've got too many A-rated parts on it, A-rated shield generator, A-rated power distributor. If you want to get the most out of your jump range, you're not going to have an A-rated distributor or A-rated shields, or C-rated stuff, because they have exactly the same mass as A-rated stuff. So yes, it's not outfitted purely for long jump range, and yet I'm still getting 46.42 light years. I'll take that. So on to engineering. Now, I'm still not a fan of the fact that unless you are re-engineering a legacy upgrade, you have to do it all from grade 1 to 5 each time. But one thing I do like is the remote workshop feature. So these are all the bookmark ones that I can apply to this ship. It's not everything I've got bookmarked. I have other ones, but they are for parts that are not fitted to this vessel. But of course there is one issue: surface scanners. As you can see, I've got grade 5 long range scanner fitted to this ship, but when I come here it will only let me go at the grade 4. I can't select the grade 5 at all, even though I have already got them. On any other ship I can select it fine, but not on this one. Why? You fucking tell me. Now this brings me on to another issue with the fucking brain dead pricks in the forums. I'll choose the multi-cannons here because, now a lot of them have been complaining that in order to max out the grade 5, they're having to do something like up to 12 different, generations of the modification. So 12 clicks. So they're using 12 of each of the materials. And I find myself thinking, why the fuck are you doing that in the first place? So you look at these readings here. You look at the dial, and these people will say, well, it's nowhere near fucking done, you know, it's at, well, say it's at 11 o'clock. But then you look at the figures given inside. Yes, there's still that much to go, but according to the figures, I'm at 2.03 of a maximum of 2.03. So it's already doing the maximum it can do. There is no point doing that extra bit because it will change nothing of your damage. Damage per second, with that much left to do, it is doing 15.58 per second. The maximum it can do is 15.64. So I could use 2, maybe 3 more of these materials to get myself an extra 0.06 damage per second. What is the fucking point? So just because it's not maxed out according to the dial doesn't mean you must do it. And if you must, carry on going until you've completely maxed it out, don't then fucking moan about the amount of materials it's used, because the last sort of 4, 5, 6 were all utterly pointless. I think I've got some other examples where I've got what, oh yes, I don't have blast resistant armor on this ship. Let's try sensors. I've got what some would say, oh no, I've got a pretty good roll there. What some would say is not a very good roll. Here we go. So lightweight mount, grade 5 on my missiles. As you can see, there's still, I mean, this one, these people who have to max it out would say, well, that's nowhere near being maxed out on the power draw. Well, if I max it out, which could take 4, which will leave me with just 1 proto-radiolic alloy, and that will make a difference as the power draw of reducing it by 0.02. Why haven't I done that? And on the mass reduction, if I do this end bit here, which is 2 to 3 clicks, that will reduce my the mass of these missiles, or the missile launcher, by 0.08. Oh, why haven't I done that? So, I have absolutely zero fucking sympathy for these cunts who are saying, oh, I've used up all my materials maxing out the grade 5s, and because it took so many fucking clicks. Well, if you're too fucking stupid to read how little difference it makes once that dial goes basically beyond 9 o'clock, that's your fucking fault. Say, don't blame Frontier Developments for your fuck up. Believe me, Frontier Developments have a lot of shit that they are to blame for, but your fuck ups are not among them. That is not the last time I'll be saying that. So a couple of things actually to point out regarding the remote workshop. If you have, say, an engineer and you've only got grade 1 access to it, using the remote workshop here won't increase your access level. So you will stay at grade 1 access and that's it. Which means you will be using a shitload of materials to get through to grade 5, and that's even if it lets you. I'm not sure about that because I've got that. I've also got all of the engineers at grade 5 access before 3.0 went live. The other thing is that you cannot install any experimental mods to anything through here. If you want an experimental mod, you have to land at the engineers planetary base. Some experimental mods are more important than others, so for some of them I did go out and get the experimental fitted, but for the majority of the time I just didn't bother. Now next up is the material trader, and annoyingly there isn't one here at Jameson Memorial. So let's bugger off to a system that I know has one, which is not leasty, but it's right next to it. Here, CD-34 9020. This is an industrial system, which means that the trader here has the manufactured materials, which are the ones that I and just about everybody else who plays this game run out of most frequently, especially the grade 5 ones. How many jumps is it? Oh, it's only 3. I won't bother pausing it then. So right, well, before we get to the material trader, let's cover the next part then. And it's the one that loads of people are fucking whinging about on the forums and in other videos, and that is crime and punishment. Now, first things first, the majority, if not all of the people who are complaining about the new crime and punishment system in the forums do so because they are griefers and they're being caught out by it. And so I say, good. I'm glad that it's fucking up their game. So you'll get complaints, like there was one I saw where he was stuck in a system and he had to wait 20 hours for his notoriety level to drop so that he could gain access to, you know, the relative sections of the station that he needed. And his reason for having such a long wait is that he was playing the game as a pirate. Now, of course, piracy is a legit method of playing the game. But the thing is, piracy just involves, it involves stealing cargo from other ships. And if you are stealing cargo from other ships, you would have to have stolen cargo from thousands, well, maybe not thousands, about maybe 200 or so, in order to gain so much notoriety that you need 20 hours to wait for your notoriety level to drop. What you don't do is destroy every fucking every other ship, whether it is a player or an NPC that's clean, the moment you encounter it. If you do that, then your notoriety will go up to the point where it will take 20 hours to reduce to the point where he can then pay off all his fines and whatever. So yeah, he is just flying around blowing up every fucking ship he encounters, almost certainly other players, but he's then attempting to disguise it by saying, oh, I'm doing piracy. No, you're not. You're being a cunt. And so the crime and punishment system is working absolutely perfectly. Another one that I saw on the forum, I could not believe this. So this cunt he was in Viper Mark III, and he had, by choice, fitted an FSD drive that meant he could not get out of that system. His jump range was so small and he couldn't jump to another system at all. And he was saying that he got a fine because he accidentally hit another ship. Now, it's entirely possible that it was accidental. Nevertheless, you can't fucking complain about a design in the game when you have chosen to deliberately strand yourself within one system, knowing that if you fuck up, either intentionally or accidentally, you are stuck there. And that's what he's done. And then he's blaming the game and blaming Frontier Developments for it. That is not the game's fault. It is not Frontier Developments' fault. That is entirely his fault. So again, no sympathy. Good. I'm glad it's backfired on him. But I do get the feeling that the crime and punishment system is going to change, because of course Frontier Developments have shown time and time again that they will bend over backwards to accommodate the vocal minority. Not least because of course the biggest brown-nosing cunt of the lot, namely Obsidian Ant, has now done a video where he is saying that the crime and punishment system is flawed. Now obviously I haven't seen it because it's one of his videos and I can't stand his voice. I wish somebody would fucking punch him repeatedly. So yeah, the fact that the vocal minority are now being backed up by that cunt means that it's almost certainly going to change. I've got no problem with it, and I have been a victim of it. When I was in Shinrata Desra not long after 3.0 had dropped, actually, I accidentally fired upon a ship which I knew would be wanted, but of course the scan hadn't finished. So I had to get the fuck out of there and try and find, oh, I'll check this one out, try and find check this one just in case it's a high grade, which it isn't. It's fucking useless. Yeah, so I had to get the fuck out of Shinrata, find a system where I could dock and pay off the fine, and you know, I had no problem with it. It was my fuck up. Then I did a system actually from Ark, the system we just left, where it was one of the planetary scan missions, and of course you get a fine when you scan the communications building. And then I had to find a docking station nearby that would let me dock and pay off the fine I got there, because the station where I got the mission, I was wanted there, so I couldn't go back and claim the reward, because the docking station there had me as wanted, and if I had docked, I would have docked as anonymous. And if I'd been scanned, of course, I would have been well and truly fucked. Again, I got no problem with it, because the game now actually does put you in a situation where you do need to think about what you're doing. And it's taken its sweet time as far as getting to that point, but now it's finally here, and I am glad it is here. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So data mine wake exceptions. That's what I think. But always handy for those improved jump ranges in case I get an 8th vessel. Now, as you can see, some materials I'm not exactly short of. This will take my whatever material that was, up to 192 of them. Worn shield emitters, this will take me up to 229 of them. As far as the raw elements, the raw materials, the elemental stuff, with the exception of boron, which is one of the 3 new ones and can only be obtained through mining or from the materials trader, I have 3-figure quantities of all of them. So yes, that does include the other 2 new materials, which are rhenium and what's the other one? Lead. That's it. Now I have had to change the way that I play the game, because previously I would never have bothered with checking out any of the... Oh yeah, that's right, I'm already in the system I wanted. I would never have bothered checking out these signal sources, and I also would never bother checking out any other ships while I'm in Super Cruise. But now I do, because I want and need as many of these materials as I can, especially if I do manage to find any high grade signal sources. The other thing that I forgot to mention was about the engineers. When I was doing my beta reviews, I had the usual fucking response from pricks saying, "Well, you don't bother re-engineering your current ships if they're already at grade 5," which is fine, but I think it is most definitely worth doing, because without exception, they have all been improved as a result. Not least the engines. In 2.4, with the grade 5 dirty drive tuning that I had here, the top speed in normal flight of this cutter was 290. Now, again, it's just great. Well, I say just, it's grade 5 dirty drive tuning. The top speed is now 307, so it's been improved by 17 meters per second, despite the fact that it's still supposed to be the same mod. So it's worth doing. Maneuverability is also improved as a result. And then with all the other things, the efficiency of efficient weapon, that has been improved dramatically. The power distributor, the power plant, everything, they are all a lot better. So although you may not want to do it initially, you'll be glad you did, because the differences are very noticeable. Anyway, let's check this one out. Combat aftermath. Yeah, I'll take a look. The area where, as far as the materials and what have you that you need to do the upgrades, the area where I'm really lacking is the data. I just do not have very much of it at all, and I think one of the reasons is that I don't do as many planetary scans, because okay, while I've got no problem with the new crime and punishment system, I don't really want to just keep being victim to it, and I do find that I can only really do those missions from one system, from Arc, because of the particular station services that it has, so allow me to get away with it. I was really hoping that would be the one that I am very desperate for. Okay, looks like we'll grab the mechanical scrap, because I'm getting low on that. I've only got 192 of them. Now, I was hoping this was the other, I was hoping this was polymer capacitors. I only have 2 of them left. I desperately need some more. Your configurable components are quite handy. I mean, to be honest, I don't really need any materials at the moment. All of my ships are engineered pretty much as high as they are likely to be. You know, I haven't maxed out any, or at least I've not intentionally maxed out any. So, although they can all be improved, it's by such tiny amounts as to make it utterly pointless. So they are all effectively done as far as engineering goes. But there is every possibility that I will get myself yet another ship and see what it's capable of. Because of course we know there is at least one more new ship coming during Beyond. We know that the crate is coming. We don't know when. Pretty much bet your life it will be 3.4, the last fucking one.
Cargo scoop retracted.
Right, so that's that area done. So all the materials gathered.
Frameshift drive charging.
But I mean, for a ship of this size, the manoeuvrability is now unreal. But it's nothing compared to the manoeuvrability of me Federal Corvette. I cannot believe how fucking manoeuvrable that ship is. For its size, it has no business being as manoeuvrable as it is. But I'm not sorry about that. It's particularly handy in combat, that's for sure. Especially if I'm going up against those fucking Thargoid Marauders, the scout ships. Because they are so fucking manoeuvrable. They constantly leave this fucking Imperial cutter for, you know, just leave it for dead. Let's see if I can get any data from scanning any of these cunts. Not from him, and obviously I won't get it from him. And that is it, so... Oh, bollocks. Hang on, there's another signal source here. Is it worth checking out? No, it fucking ain't. Right, time for another fag. But that'll do me sore throat the world of good, that. Now the other thing is what's the time now? Just gone 11 PM. That means my caption competition, where you could win a slightly buggered up GeForce GTX 780, ends in just under an hour. Utterly irrelevant as far as this video goes, because by the time this is uploaded, that will have been and gone a while ago. Die. There we go. Right. So, I mean, there's nothing happening here. This is just to, fuck it, sort out the integrity. I don't think I've got any cartographic stuff to hand in. No, I certainly haven't got anything to hand in here. But here we go then with the material trader. So this is what I have. So you can see the really crap amounts I've got are always in the grade 5 stuff. So I've only got 3 pharmaceutical isolators left. Not that terrible because I don't need any more. Military grade alloys I've got 9, all the rest are okay. As far as the heat stuff goes, I'm actually not doing too badly at all. Even the grade 5 proto heat radiators, I've got 37 of those, so I'm doing okay there. With the conductive, I don't have any mods that use biotech conductors, so I use those purely for trading here. As far as mechanical components, actually I'm not doing too badly here either, although again I don't use improvised components, so I could always use them just for trading. Now with the capacitors, this is where things take a real downward spiral. I need electrochemical arrays, polymer capacitors and military supercapacitors, and I have, well, I've got 9 if you add all 3 of those together, which is pathetic. So yeah, not too good. Shielding is not too bad. Imperial shielding, I had a lot more than that, but I finished modding the shield boosters on my Fed Corvette last night, so I'm now down to 7 of those, but yeah, I'm doing fine with them. With the composites, I do need core dynamic composites for a couple of my armour and my bulkhead upgrades. Because I just remembered that there are a couple of those that need doing, and I only have 1, which is a pathetic amount. Then with the crystals, again, I don't use exquisite focus crystals in anything, so that is purely for trading. And then with the alloys, they start off pretty good with salvaged, galvanizing. I mean, even phase alloys, 42 isn't brilliant, but it's not terrible. Proto-light alloys, I did find some last night actually, so that was handy. But proto-radiolic alloys, I only got 5 of them. Not great. Now, here we go again with the brain dead cunts on the forums. And I predicted this in my beta video, which is, of course, they're all complaining about how many, of a particular material you get, the trade exchange rates. I knew it was coming, and yeah, of course, it did. I think that the trade rates are fine. Frontier Developments themselves said, and I actually agree with them on it, that the traders are not there to be used instead of finding the particular materials you need out while playing the game. They're basically there if you need a few that you are missing. They're basically a last resort, but it's a resort that you have. So, for example, here with core dynamics composites, if I need one of these, I can get one of these for 6 proprietary composites, or 36 of my high density composites. I don't have enough of the other 2 to be able to trade for them. So you need 216 of the shield emitters if it was Imperial shielding, so the grade 2, and I think it's more than you can actually get even if you max these out. The most you can carry is 300, and I don't think even 300 of these will get you 1 of the grade 5. And then the amount that you can trade for changes if you're going to change, say for example, shielding for a composite. So with grade 1, 6 compact composites will get you 1 worn shield emitter. 2 filament composites will get you 1 worn shield emitter. 2 high density composites will get you 3 worn shield emitters. 2 proprietary composites will get you 9 of the worn shield emitters, and I don't have enough of those to use that as an example, so let's you do the grid resistors. So yeah, 20 or 2 Imperial shieldings will get me 27 grid resistors. I think that works out pretty well. I'm glad that it's, you know, that credits are not involved or not involved at all. I don't think you should be able to buy them for credits, and I don't think you should be able to sell them for credits. But of course, yeah, loads of people on the forums all moaning about it, saying that the trade levels are too high. And of course, Frontier Developments, as always, will at some point bow to pressure from the vocal minority, and they will change it. They'll reduce it, so you will get more for, you know, trading them in, which I hate. Well, not as much as I hate it when certain people, I can't remember who it was, but he had a sort of East European accent, do videos where they are complaining about the exchange rates, and they say in their video that if you don't agree, you are wrong. Am I? What, because I don't agree with you, I am wrong? You know what? Fuck off, pal. So there we are. So that's the material trader for the manufactured ones. As I say, actually, I do need some. I particularly need military supercapacitors, but of course my capacitors are terrible. And the exchange rate, if I cross those, 36 grade 4s for 1 military supercapacitor, and I don't really have enough in any of them to be able to get away with getting rid of that many. And it's the same with the what was the other one that I was very low on? Here we are, core dynamic composites. Again, I really need to cross trade with them, because I don't have enough of any of these to be able to do that. But I don't have enough of the right ones, you know, to be able to do such a trade. So I can't really use the trader here. I've got to find them. I've got to find the core dynamics composites. I know where they are. Of course, it's finding the right signal sources. Same with the military supercapacitors. I know where to find them, but it's getting the right signal sources. Likewise, I definitely need more polymer capacitors and electrochemical arrays. I shouldn't have too much trouble finding these, but I haven't actually been going out hunting purely for materials, which brings me on to another point. Again, loads of people in the forums have been moaning about the amount of grind as far as trying to find the right materials. To which I say this: where does it say in the game that you must develop or, you know, invest all of your time into looking for materials? Nowhere. There is nothing stopping you from doing other things, you know, doing like missions, going to conflict zones and blah fucking blah, and picking up the materials while you are doing those, you know, checking out signal sources while you're doing other missions. You do not have to just fly, you know, around, you know, meaninglessly flying around a system just looking for signal sources. So yeah, if that's how you choose to do it, then yeah, I can see why you would find it fucking boring. So here's a good idea: don't do it that way. You know, oh, what a brainwave. So you would think then, from the way I've been talking, that I'm quite pleased with the way that Frontier Developments have gone about this, and that I'm actually on Frontier Development's side with regards to all of the complaints for the new features in 3.0. You'd think that, but you'd think wrong, because this is still an absolute fucking clusterfuck. The amount of glitches and bugs that are so fucking irritating in this are unbelievable. And among the worst, some of which have been fixed, but others haven't, include, while you're in the SRV on the surface of a planet, if you then go back to your ship, launch and land somewhere else on that planet, you can guarantee that within 5 or 10 minutes the surface of the planet will not be rendered properly, and you keep driving through the surface, seeing the wireframe underside, and it's just absolute shit. You're basically driving through the planet's surface. The sensor on the SRV continues to show you the surface as it should be, but the surface that is being rendered in front of you, the in-game part, that's not being rendered right. So you're constantly going, over bumps. That's fine. Then you go down the other side of a bump and you see yourself driving right through the planet's surface. That's happened to me on at least 4 different planets. The amount of stuttering in the game has gone up exponentially. It didn't when 3.0 first landed, but when the first hotfix came along, which was 3.0.02, that's when it started. In fact, considering that Beyond is supposed to be a series that is primarily about bug fixes and improving the rudimentary implementation of game features, this has already had 5 hotfixes. Hotfix 4 lasted less than 24 hours before Hotfix 5 came along to fix an issue that Hotfix 4 introduced. Anyway, so going back to the list of issues I've had, the stuttering. The game also, while you're playing along, suddenly jumps like ahead 1 second, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when this happens sometimes as often as 4 times a minute, it looks like you're watching one of those old videos from World War One, where you see the troops climbing out of the trench, and then suddenly they're over here. That's what it looks like, and it does it so fucking often. When 3.0 first landed, the entire comms panel here was totally useless if you played in open play. All of these tabs would just completely freeze to the point where you didn't even see the highlighter move. The only one that stayed working was the main comms one here, but the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they all just wouldn't work at all. Another SRV related one is sometimes when you land or when you bring your SRV back to the ship, this navigations tab becomes totally unresponsive. You cannot change tab, you cannot move the highlighter anywhere. That is still present now. What else? I know there have been stupid fucking amounts, and I've come up with 3, but there were plenty of others. But it just gets so fucking annoying, and it then dawned on me, why am I surprised by this? Because I was, I'll admit, I was surprised by it. And then I thought, why am I surprised by it? If this game had been developed by, you know, a team of developers who were anything other than utterly fucking useless, firstly, it would not need a year, and that's if they stick to their initial upgrade schedule, unlike they did with Horizons. It would not need a year dedicated entirely to a series that is focusing on bug fixes and sorting out rudimentary implementation of game features. But it does. But who is it who are doing these bug fixes? Have they got a new team of developers to come in and sort it out? No. The people who are doing it, well, it's old fucking Captain Penny Bollocks and his army of ineptitude still. That's David fucking Braben and Frontier Developments for the uninitiated. So it's the people who got the game in the fucking shitfest state that it was already in, and now they are expecting us to think, oh well, they're now going to fix it all. Well, they haven't been able to do it in the previous 3 fucking years, but we're now supposed to think, oh well, they're just the people we want to sort out this game over this, you know, during 2018. They'll get it sorted out. They'll do a great job of it because, look, they've done so fucking well so far, haven't they? So I like the new features, and as you've heard, I like them to the point where I could actually say, yes, Frontier Developments did well by putting this and this in, you know, by putting in the tech brokers, the Guardian content. I like the new Guardian sites. I like the new Thargoid ships, so the fact that it does give solo players a chance to you know, take on Thargoids and actually stand a chance. I like the material trader, and I wish they would leave the material trader as it is, but I have a horrible feeling they're not going to. I like the new crime and punishment system. So they have taken some fucking seriously major steps in the right direction. But they still have so many fucking annoying glitches and bugs and stupid fucking implementation of other features, which brings me on to one that I had forgotten to mention. The mission board with the new wing missions. Now, I have no problem with wing missions as an idea. Of course, typical. Right, here we go. And I would like to do some of these wing missions that involved taking out, you know, enemy ships, the assassination missions. But of course, I don't get the chance to wing up with too many people. I can't remember the last time I did. I can't even remember who it was with. But so often, here we go. So often you'll find that yet again Frontier Developments have made the same fucking mistake that they kept on doing in the past. Instead of adding the wing missions to the existing tally of missions that appear on the board here, they have pretty much replaced a lot of the previous missions that were there. So you're still getting the same number of missions appearing, but they are now, more often than not, well, of course, it's typical that I seem to have arrived at a docking station where I'm just not getting them. But more often than not, you will get a load of, say, the delivery missions that you want to do. And you see one that is actually somewhat high paying, although there were plenty of missions that paid far more than this prior to 3.0, and you see that it's a wing mission, and then you see how much stuff you have to carry. 3,002 units. Well, my ship has 320 tons. cargo capacity. So that will be, what, say 9 trips. So that's 2.5 million. If you're playing this solo, suddenly turns out to, well, 2.5 million divided by 9. So it's, well, a bit better than 251,000 per trip, and you have to do it 9 times. Well, that payout is shit. So then you think, well, I'm not going to bother with it then. Now there are going to be better paying ones. So here we go. This one's not much better. So 3,713,000 to carry 2,859 units of clothing. So with my cargo capacity again, that's still going to be what, 7 or 8 trips, and suddenly this 3.7 million, you realise, well, it's a pathetic amount per trip, so you're not going to bother doing it. They need to rebalance, as they're always having to do, but bring back the decent missions that used to be here and have them as well as the new ones. But they've never done it in the past, and you know full well they're not going to do it this time either. So I mean, obviously I could refit my ship so that it would carry, you know, I could refit it so it would carry over 700 tons, and then that means for this thing I would, you know, I'd only need to do, what, 4 trips. But nevertheless, that's still 4 trips for, that's less than, well, no, it's just over 500,000 per trip. 500,000, I'm not going to waste my fucking time. So either dramatically improve the amount of credits that they give you, dramatically reduce the amount of you know, the amount that you have to take to complete the mission, or, you know, bring back the old decent paying missions and give us the option. You know, have these new wing missions here as well as all of the previous older missions. Now, because the really ridiculous thing is, if you play this game in solo mode, these wing missions still fucking appear. I mean, you don't have to be in a wing, you can do them on your own, but you'd be, in some cases you'd probably be here a fucking week just completing one mission, except of course they don't give you the time. And now for some reason it's just doing fuck all. I'm clicking on them and nothing's coming up. Which brings me to something else. There have been problems with the fucking servers. They apparently fixed that issue, except the issue then came back again. So right, let's see if we can actually select a mission board mission this time. Chances are it won't even fucking load. Oh, here we go. Now, there you go. Failure or partial completion of this mission could lead to a fine. So this is to deliver 2,859. And yeah, you can do this on your own. And of course, if you're playing it in solo mode, you have to do it on your own. Why would you want to? It just seems ridiculous that these wing missions even appear when you're playing the game in solo mode. So yeah, there's a lot to like about 3.0, but there are still lots of fucking stupid and annoying things that will piss you off about it. Anyway, to finish off, so if you're one of those people who is sick of me going through my stats, this is time to end the video. We'll have a look then at the stats, because they have changed quite a bit since I did my last one. So my balance is currently at 1,875,695,131, which is, I think, the most I've had in any of my videos, but is nowhere near the most I've ever had. Prior to me buying the Corvette and the Type 9 and the Adder, my balance was just over 2.5 billion. So well, as far as my ship stats go here, I mean, the shields are pretty fucking strong now. I mean, the shield health doesn't look anything spectacular, 1,965, but you look at the resistances. My worst resistance is kinetic resistance, and that's still at 60.4. Thermal resistance 66.2, and explosive resistance 72.1. So yeah, the resistance is more than make up for it, and the same with the armor health, 2,289, but kinetic resistance of 49.4, thermal resistance 33.7, and explosive resistance 22.6. So they're all pretty good. Did I really finish that fag that quickly? Seems like I'd only just fucking lit it. No. Better another one then. So into balance. Current assets then are at 4,476,543,652. Credit spent on the ships, 1,804,744,120. Credit spent on outfitting is fucking unbelievable, to be honest. 12,101,585,760. On repairs, 40,925,809. Fuel and munitions haven't changed a huge amount, actually. Yeah, I haven't lit that properly. And insurance claims is still at 13, with total claims costs 174,337,340, some of which have been refunded to me. In combat, bounties claims at 8,751. Profit from bounties is just over 275 million. I can't bother to just keep reading out all of the values. Combat bonds 6,119, so that's finally been going up. Over 200 of those are Thargoid Marauders. I did the event, the community group event at Socho, so that's how I ended up destroying that many. So profit from combat bonds 127.4 million. Assassinations is at 272. Profit from assassinations 55.2 million. Highest single reward, it looks like it's gone down, but they've actually changed what that shows. That's the highest single bounty you get on the destruction of a ship. It doesn't include like rewards that you get from doing assassination missions. Personally, I think 590,000 for the destruction of one ship is not bad. I can't for the life of me remember what ship that was. Anyway, skimmers killed 276. Crime, so my notoriety is at 0. It's never gone off 0 actually, so I'm okay with that. 202 fines issued with lifetime value of 4.5 million. 61 bounties received. Lifetime value is 30,145, and the highest is only 2,000. Smuggling hasn't changed, I haven't done any more of that. Trading, market network 372, trading profit of 1,007,500,000, I know I'm reading it all out again, just over $1 billion. Commodities traded 650,760. Average profit 298,535. That's not bad. Highest single transaction, that's the same as it has been for fucking about 2 years, I think. Mining, so I did some more mining now that I got my dedicated Type 9 mining ship. So profit from mining is at 20.4 million, with 1,853 minerals refined. Materials collected at the end of 2.4, that was at just under 8,000, and it's now at 21,779, which is fucking unbelievable. Exploration, these stats really have changed. So systems visited is now at 15,615. Profits from exploration is at 594.8 million. Level 2 detail scans, even that has gone up a little bit, because my chieftain doesn't have the advanced discovery scanner. So that's gone up to 5,196. Level 3 detail scans at 316,695. Highest payout, that hasn't changed for a bit, so it's still at 4.8 million. Total light space distance, I can't believe I passed 500 million there, but yeah, 532,570. Total height space jumps to 26,247. Max distance from the start hasn't changed, and that's not going to. Approximate time played is fucking horrendous. SRV distance travel is at 4.38 megameters. That's really shot up. Passengers, I don't think I've done too many more passenger missions since 3.0 dropped. So that hasn't changed much, so it's 149 passenger missions. Search and rescue, I do still keep handing these in every now and then, so I've handed in 30. Total profit 131,303. Core. 19 transactions in total. Encounters, 4 Thargoid wakes scanned, 6 Thargoid structures, 8 total encounters. Because an encounter only gets added when you get interdicted when you're travelling through hyperspace. So including the one that was just the cutscene, I've had to sit through that 9 times. I can't say I enjoy it anymore, it's a fucking pain in the arse. Crafting, so I've done 1,537 upgrades. Level 5 upgrades is by far the most, 569 of those. Crew I haven't had since I tried it out when it was first introduced. Multi-crew I still haven't touched. Material trader stats, so I've done 104 trades. I've traded 1,957 materials. Encoded materials 246, raw materials 462, and well, you can see the various grades. And CQC, like anyone gives a fuck. So there we go. That's my first 3.0 video. Wasn't it fucking riveting? The next one I'll do, I think, I haven't been to a conflict zone for a fucking long time, so I think the next one I do, I'll take the old Fed Corvette into a conflict zone, and I'll show you what the shot cannons are all about. I bet you can't wait. Right. Anyway, that is it. So now go away.